Hey, it's ASMR Jess here, and today I'm going to read you some spooky stories. I found this thread on Reddit yesterday called "The Truth Is Here," and basically it's just people uploading like their paranormal and weird experiences in real time. So I'm a big fan of like no sleep and all the creepy stuff on Reddit. I watch a ton of YouTubers just reading like their subscribers, paranormal stories, and just all that weird stuff on the internet. And if you have a scary story, I would love to read it. If you put it in the comments or something, or send it to me, I will 1,000,000% read it. I'll be so excited for that. So, I'm gonna read the first one that I saw yesterday. So, the past year I've read a lot of stories about skinwalkers. I think they are fascinating because they're so terrifying. So this one is called "I'm Being Followed by a Skinwalker." It was submitted one day ago, and today is November 18th, so they submitted it November 17th. So it's like really recent. So I haven't read it all the way through, so we're just going to read it together. Okay, here we go. So as the title says, I think me and my friend are being followed by a skinwalker. This started a few days ago. I don't know what we did, but ever since about 3 days ago, we've been noticing very odd things. Our truck started smelling like sulfur and rotten meat, and our trailer, which is very clean, smells like rotten meat as well. We don't have any meat here, and we checked. We hear scratches at night while we're trying to sleep, as well as knocking, but that doesn't make sense because we are in the middle of nowhere in Utah, with no towns for at least 20 miles. There is also a Native American reservation literally 200 feet from our property. So that just makes it more convincing, because from my understanding, skinwalkers are like Navajo witch demons, and they are obviously common around Native American reservations of the Navajo tribe. We decided to go looking for it last night. Why? We walked about 2 miles from our truck and started to smell sulfur. Then we both saw a 6 or 7 foot tall silhouette running towards us. We ran right back to the truck, but it wouldn't start. Pretty cliche, I know. I got out and went to the toolbox on the side, grabbed a wrench, and started taking of the intake. Sprayed some ether in and put the intake back on, and it fired up. Needless to say, we peeled out. We were doing about 53 miles per hour to get back to our trailer when I look back and see that thing is still behind us and keeping up. I told my buddy to punch it because it's right behind us. He floored it, but it wouldn't go any faster. Can usually do around 70 to 80 miles per hour, but it wouldn't go past 55. And they put in parentheses, I don't know car stuff. So It's a Ford 6.9 IDI with a turbo kit, in case anyone was wondering. So I'm guessing the turbo kit would make it go faster. I don't know. We eventually made it to the mile or so back to our trailer. We shut the truck off and ran inside as fast as we could. We locked the door and covered all the windows with blankets. As soon as I got the last blanket up, there was something tugging at our door and trying to open it, so I went and held the door shut. Then out of nowhere, the lock started to unlock itself. I tied it to the lock position with the bootlace and grabbed a hammer. And I waited. About a minute later, I get a text from a girl that I'm interested in, but she never texts me back, saying that she's in trouble and she needs us to come get her right now. I asked what was going on, and she said she's getting kicked out of the house. So I get ready to go because this is my only chance with her. I asked her if she had money for diesel, and she asked me why. I then told her we were coming to get her, and she then said, "Why would I want to see you? We haven't talked in months." What? You just texted me 3 minutes ago. So I decided it was probably in our best interest to stay inside that night. Okay, that is scary because I've heard of skinwalkers impersonating people's voices and appearances, but I haven't heard them like texting people or even unlocking doors, because I thought they had to be like invited inside. So this seems like a skinwalker that's like not following the rules. I do not have Navajo in me. I'm not educated as much as I would like to be on their traditions, but from what I've heard, they can like go rogue, skinwalkers can, and then they have to be like taken care of by the Navajo people, from what I understand. Please feel free to correct me if you are from the Navajo culture and you know about it. I'd love to learn. So, okay, here it goes. I started hearing my name being called from outside by vaguely familiar voices, but I couldn't quite recognize them. I never looked outside last night for fear that this thing was just outside the door. I put salt around the door because someone told me that would help. And nothing got in last night, so it must have. So now we're here in the morning, and there is almost no sign that anything happened last night. No scratch marks on the trailer, no dents, no footprints, or paw prints. Nothing. So here I am writing this and hoping someone believes me, because I need help. I don't know how to get rid of this thing. And if you read this far, I just want to say thank you. Ooh, and there are more edits that I didn't see from yesterday. Because when I looked at the story yesterday, there were no edits yet. So then they say, my flashlight did flicker on and off a few times. I don't know if that's paranormal or just the battery dying, but just thought I should mention that. And then it says day 4. It's now nighttime, and I haven't experienced anything yet today. I plan on keeping a whole log of what happens. The reason I say it's day 4, because this whole thing started about 4 days ago. Even though it's dark, I really want to capture some video for everyone, and that's exactly what I will be doing. I'm not going to try to piss it off, but I'm going to be recording. Not sure how I'll upload it yet, but I'll find a way and be back with an update. Thanks again to everyone that is genuinely trying to help me, because since listening to your advice, I have had less experiences. But that could have just been because it was daytime. Also, a side note, I went to the reservation today, but to no avail. Me and my buddy asked everyone that drove by where the tribe is, and nobody knew. We might have to try again tomorrow. Okay, day 5. I listened to everyone's advice and made a salt barrier. There's also a lot of people saying that it's a demon, not a skinwalker. So I've been doing research on demons. I found one very helpful thing. If you don't give it the power to mess with you, you won't get messed with. So I did exactly that last night. I didn't focus on it. In fact, y'all told me to pray, so I prayed. I didn't hear any knocking or scratching. No light flickering, nothing. Thank you to everyone that has come forward to help me fight off this entity, whatever it is. And then it said I'll be back with an update later, but there is no update yet. Okay, so this is a super short one. Paranormal activity around significant other in our connection. We're in a long distance relationship, and as we got to know each other and talk more, we started having paranormal occurrences happen. Her dad passed away years ago, and she has this music box above her bed that's gone off twice on its own. She was pushed once and then poked while I've talked to her and video chatted. She's heard my fingers pop in her room after I'd already left. Anything electrical seems to be affected. The toy stove that hasn't worked started flickering rapidly. Her closet light goes on and off randomly. Her microwave lit up in a strange way and disconnected during our call all at the same time. While I was there, toys started going off and things I picked up appeared back on the floor. She kept a few empty water bottles while I was there, and they started crinkling randomly. TV going on and off. She's heard a child making noise in her room too. The list goes on and on. I don't know what it is. It creeps me out. It has something to do with me and her together. One of her friends did an astrology reading for us, and it was pretty accurate, but it said we had some connection from the past. Just wanted to share. Does anyone have any insight on what this could be? I don't know, it's spooky. This one was submitted 10 hours ago, and it's called Strange Light in the Woods. Me, my girlfriend, and a friend were in a pecan orchard. They have pecan orchards in South Georgia? I don't know. I'm gonna guess it's a pecan orchard. So they were in a pecan orchard in South Georgia, and we had seen some crazy stuff go on for the last week. We had saw what looked like a UFO come out across the top of the trees and saw it for a minute. It was a white light moving around where the government had a plant called Merc. It looked like it was searching for something. Then it came into a clearing where a gas pipeline was. It sat there for a minute. There was green and red lights flashing and one white light. Then it took off into the pecan orchard under the trees. About an hour later, it was right back behind us again. And we went back under the trees and into the orchard to make no sound at all. I have seen several UFOs, and I think we are about to see a lot of these things real soon. I've been hearing about them everywhere. I totally believe in aliens, but they spelled orchard like orchid. I don't think they're pecan orchids. Somebody commented and said, where do you think pecans come from? I have heard a lot of conspiracies lately that since everything is getting so bad with the pandemic and everything that maybe aliens are gonna come back to Earth. I don't know. I totally believe in them though. I really believe in anything because I just don't think there's any way it's just humans like in the universe on this one tiny planet. That's ridiculous. Okay. Let's see. This one is something might not be right in my house. It has a disclaimer of, sorry if this is long and doesn't make sense. I just need to tell someone because my husband brushed me off when I brought this up. Ooh, and they've like the tag is shadow people. Shadow people kind of freak me out, honestly. My mom had an experience with a shadow person, just like standing in their bedroom over my dad a few years ago, and I know it freaked her out. I have seen like a shadow one time run across my room, and I was hanging out with somebody, and I was like, I don't know if I'm nuts, but I just saw a shadow like run across my room, and I feel something. And they were like, oh yeah, that's me. I was like, what do you mean it's you? And they said when they were in the army, they got cursed overseas somewhere, and they had like an entity following them. But that was the only time I saw that entity, oddly enough. I did hang out with them a lot that summer, but that's my one shadow person experience. Okay, so let's get back to this person's story. Maybe I should be saying their usernames. This one's by Sarah Lily Kiwi. So just like the title says, something may or may not be right in my house. I don't drink or do drugs, but admittedly I am a little tired when I see this thing. At first I brushed it off because I thought it was just my mind filling in a blank, but the other night I was genuinely disturbed. First time I saw this shadow man was about a month and a half ago. My husband works from home and is home all the time and helps me out a lot with our newborn daughter. Her room is right next to ours, and one day, after a long day and being up since like 4 a.m., I'm just laying in bed doing a cross stitch when I start to hear the baby crying. He was working downstairs, so I figured I would finish up the stitch I was working on and go attend to her. We live in a 2-story condo, and the landing at the top of our stairs is big, and both of our rooms open out to it. My door is wide open, and I'm on the bed in view of the landing and top of the stairs. Before I can get up, I see what I thought is my husband going into her room. I couldn't see very well as the landing was dark and only the bedside lamp in my room was on. I see this fully formed all black figure go into my daughter's room, and I think to myself, okay, my husband has the baby. Cool. But she kept crying. After a few minutes, I call to Hubs and ask him if he's with the baby. No, he's downstairs. What the F did I just see walk into my child's room? I tell him, WTF, I just saw him walk into our daughter's room. But he was like, nope. Okay then. So the other day, it was about 3 or 4 a.m. I hate being awake at 3 a.m. It scares me every time. I hate it. It's spooky at that time of night. Okay, 3 a.m. And my baby starts crying because she's hungry, doing her baby thing. I'm in the bathroom, warming the water for her bottle, and when I'm done, I come out and turn the light off. My bathroom opens up into our bedroom, and as I walk out to the bathroom, into our bedroom, I'm now in the dark, except for the soft, dim glow of a lamp on the dresser behind me. I'm now half in and out of the bathroom door, about 2 feet from the foot of our bed, facing the open bedroom door. And I see what I thought was the darkened figure of my husband out of bed. And walking out the open door onto the landing and going into my baby's room. I say, "Dear, are you getting up to feed Lily? Go back to sleep, I got it." I put my hand down on the bed to guide myself to the door to walk out onto the landing, and I touch his foot in the bed and got freaked out. Not only was he still in bed, I woke him up. What the actual is going on here? The shadow man was the same height and size of my husband, walking from the head of the bed out our bedroom door. I was very disturbed, to say the least. He looked solid, like a person both times. Now, in my past, I had a not-so-savory occupation. Was an adult film performer. I was very depressed and just in a dark place. I used to have frequent encounters with the shadow man. He's followed me onto planes and to people's houses. The shadow man in the hat, a lot of others have seen, but he has been long gone out of my life. That hat even tried to attack me one time. He came at me in a friend's house, but that is a story for another time. The shadow thing looks just like the outline of my husband and seems to go into my daughter's room. I honestly thought I was hallucinating because I was tired. But the other night, when this went down a second time, really shook me, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen again. And then they thank you for reading. And then, yeah. That is so spooky, especially if they have had a shadow man encounter in the past. I've heard really mixed things about shadow people. I've heard either like they're not hurting you, they're just watching you, or they're really malicious. I got chills. It's like, I don't know if you can see, it's spooky. Okay, this spooky title. Dreamed about, okay, so this is by Needs More Tuba. I love music jokes. Okay. It says, dreamed about a humanoid creature trying to get inside. Woke to a handprint on the outside glass, as well as the leaves disturbed in exactly the right place. I have photos, so hopefully I don't sound quite as crazy. There are photos. Okay, I'll try and put these in the video. It's been about 10 days since this happened, and I've been debating whether or not to mention it anywhere, because maybe it's nothing. I'm just curious if anyone has any opinions. I don't usually remember my dreams, but the other night I dreamed that something was trying to get inside my house. It wasn't the most frightening creature, but definitely not adorable at all. It looked like a small man, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall, covered in patchy hair. He behaved oddly, almost like he was really drunk, and asked me if he could come inside. he wasn't standing up, but instead was laying down in front of my steps, kind of writhing around a little bit. I said no. I was sorry. I couldn't help him. But I don't allow strangers to come inside my house. Then he said something like, I'll just have to find a way inside. So I closed and locked the door. That morning I woke up 3 times, and each time the clock said 7 a.m. I thought that was sort of strange, but I told myself that dreams can be weird like that. Then I opened the curtains on the window to let the sunlight in, and there was a large handprint on the outside of the window. Not gonna lie, I got a little freaked out. And then I'm gonna hopefully insert it right here. I touched the glass to make sure it was on the outside. There's a big bush underneath that window, and in addition, a temporary fence because the flowers are poisonous and also delicious to our dog. There's a chain link fence around the backyard. There is a very little chance that someone touched the window recently, and there's no sign of anyone being close enough to touch it. The fence and the bush were undisturbed. It's definitely possible for a random spot to show up on a window, so I figured I'd wait until the next day and check again to see if it was just something that was happening now that it's getting colder at night. It was not the same the next day or any of the following. That was the only morning a handprint appeared, except for a very vague impression the following morning, which I assume was left over from the previous day. Now it's gone, and if you really need the proof, I'll take a photo tomorrow morning if there's any window fog. Another thing that disturbed me was that we had recently finished raking the leaves, but I left a small pile up against the house in case my toddler threw a fit about not having any left to jump in. In the dream, the man had been at the bottom of the steps where the leaves were. Before I took the dog out, I said to myself, if the leaf pile is disturbed, I'm gonna be freaked out. And then they were. That's the exact same place where the man was laying in my dream. It seems consistent with his size as well. I get that leaves can blow around, obviously. I don't think an animal would have done it. It's bigger than a cat, and we aren't aware of any stray dogs. It doesn't really seem like the wind would have blown the leaves away from one small specific spot like that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? There's so many different things I feel like anything could be. But I do like to think there are things out there that we don't understand or know about, like fairies and dwarves and guardian angels and spirit guides, and even the bad stuff. Probably you have to have good to balance out the bad, so there's probably still like demons and skinwalkers, wendigos, I just wonder, or like Bigfoot or things like that. Who really knows? I'm up for the possibility of anything. I love that like people are reaching out to strangers and people are commenting and like supporting people. I love that. I love this stuff. So this is called weird sleep paralysis. If you watched my video from maybe like a year ago, I do explain like the creepiest dream I've ever had, and to this day it's still the creepiest dream, and I still remember it vividly. Okay. So this person said, so this happened just about an hour ago, and this is by Crack Dog 97. It's called weird sleep paralysis. I was falling asleep. My girlfriend was next to me watching a movie on her phone. As I began falling asleep, I felt extremely relaxed till I became uncomfortable when I felt like I could hear the silence, and then I couldn't really move. I was in kind of a dream state. With my eyes closed, I could still envision my room perfectly. For some reason, whenever I thought about it, I could hear a news anchor talking, but nobody else in the house is up besides my girlfriend, who isn't watching the news. Anyways, I start kind of dreaming of myself and my girlfriend walking down a wet street. In the distance, I see a giant humanoid shadow figure walking on all fours. When I see it, I freeze up and realize I can't move or breathe, and then after a moment, I wake up. Also, I realized that I was sleeping face down in an awkward position, and it was a little hard to breathe. Not saying it was paranormal, but interesting nonetheless. Okay, that is interesting to me because I don't sleep on my back for the one reason that I don't know what happens, but if I sleep on my back, I almost always get sleep paralysis. Or it's not even like sleep paralysis, I'll just have creepy dreams and I'll have a hard time waking up out of them. Like I'll know that I'm dreaming something odd and that I need to wake up, and I'll usually wake up on my back and then I'll be like, am I just having like a hard time breathing? It's causing weird dreams. But I stopped sleeping on my back because I would have creepy dreams, and if like my hands rested on my chest, I'd start to feel like I couldn't breathe in the dreams. So just an interesting thought. One more and then I'm done. Okay, this one's creepy. This was submitted 5 days ago by We Real Comments. It's called Woke Up at 3 a.m. Screaming. Hey all, long time lurker, first time poster. I've had a few supernatural experiences, none of which scared me too much, as I've been almost certain that they were my mother who passed away 3 years ago. So I never felt uncomfortable, and I just communicated what it was bothering me, and it stopped. Oh no. With that being said, today, Friday the 13th, I woke up screaming and terrified. I don't know what it was making me scream, but I felt like something was right up at my face. And I couldn't sleep after that, as every time I tried to, I felt as though something was watching me. Has anyone ever had anything similar? This one says, LOL, I'm in a parallel universe. Ooh, okay. This was submitted 7 days ago by Easy Bake Lovin'. I love these names. Things were just seeming weird. It really started when my friend picked me up from the airport and he was driving a different car than I thought he had. I'm almost certain he had a different car. It physically confused me to the point I didn't recognize him right in front of me. Small things after that just don't seem right. I was just signing up for something and I put in my full name and it called me by my nickname. The nickname I usually go by isn't that obvious. Think the name Marsala and nickname Sala. I had to do a questionnaire and answered a few questions wrong, but at the end I answered them right. I don't know, something just doesn't seem normal to me. I keep getting the feeling that something isn't right. I've been thinking about that a lot this year. Like, did we shift into like a parallel reality where all this wild stuff is happening? Like, the energy in the world has felt so weird this whole year for like everybody. I just keep trying to find like glitches in the matrix or anything, but I haven't found any yet. Okay, I'm rambling now. thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to hear any more spooky stories from the internet. I will link the thread down below if you want to check it out. And if you want to share some of your own stories, please share them. I would love that. Yeah, so like and subscribe. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.